still, I have a very, very exciting game to show you this morning. This is from the London Chess Classic, the Super GM Classic section. So, Fabiano Caruana, 2823. He was against Hikaru Nakamura, 2779. And I think they both really wanted to win this game. This is reflected in the opening choice. We see after e4 from Fabiano Caruana the Sicilian defense, and we go into the Najdorf variation. Okay, a very, very fighting, exciting position. And in fact, after bishop g5, this enters one of the most razor-sharp variations of the Sicilian defense, potentially, after f4, because there's the poison pawn variation around here with queen b6. That's been played, actually, throughout history the most number of times from this position, going for the so-called poison pawn. There's also bishop e7 as one of the main moves, knight bd7, queen c7, but in this game we see h6, which has also been played quite a bit. Bishop drops back. Yeah, we're firmly in live book still with over 250 games. Now queen b6, and now the move a3, and this is now it's not possible, I believe, to take on b2. This is a trap, because the b4 square was taken by the pawn. We have knight a4. Yes, that's a pretty well known trap, actually. Just to make sure I'm not making a complete fool of myself. Yeah, black's best would be like taking the rook. So yeah, that's to be avoided. We have after a3 the move bishop e7. Sorry, bishop e7. Bishop f2 pointing at the queen. The queen goes away from this diagonal. Queen f3. After knight bd7, now white castles queenside. So a very violent looking position, especially by the tame, often tame World Championship standards. But this is when Super GMs want to play for a win. That they play differently in a tournament context like this. So g4 is played. Now, yeah, black can play bishop b7. That has been seen before in about 8 games in live book. In here, in this game, g5 was played. Black's trying to get that e5 square for a knight by nudging this pawn away. It's a common idea. White plays h4, threatening hg. We have this g takes f4. Bishop e2 now. If black wants to protect this pawn, it would be a huge cost to that f5 square. We see actually a very interesting move, b4, trying to get ready maybe for some line opening, with maybe a5 or rook b8 later. a5 might be too slow, but it looks a very interesting position now, knight e5. But there's a very, very specific tactical idea as well, though, in this position, which is the queen is kind of precariously placed, it seems. After queen takes f4, Nakamura plays a move which seems very, very dangerous for white's queen safety. We have knight e takes g4 with the idea of e5. If not queen safety, just getting material back. So it looks as though, hold on a sec, there's e5 here on bishop takes g4. Isn't that? And wouldn't that be nice for black? Okay, white did play bishop takes g4, and after e5, yeah, isn't this a slight snag? Because also, I mean, isn't there like bishop takes g4 with tempo on the rook if the queen moves back? Now, a very, very interesting move was played here in this position to try and sort out some of the problems. Yeah, if the queen moves back, I think we'll just check this position. I think bishop takes g4, hitting the rook, and black's going to be better on knight f5. Yes, that could be dangerous. That could be just snapped off though, and black's problems would be solved. Actually, the position's about equal there. So queen g3 offers equality, maybe, or queen d2, same sort of thing. Bishop takes g4. We have knight f5, so same sort of thing there. But after e5, there's a different move that's played. I'll give you 5 seconds. Can you spot the move that was played? I'll give you 500 points if you can spot it. Actually, it's quite a stunning move, but can you justify it as well for an extra 500 bonus points? So white's play. So black at the moment has temporarily, he's sacked a piece. No. Well, yeah. Black has temporarily sacked a piece. We have this stunning queen sack. Yeah, it looks like a positional queen sacrifice here for 2 pieces. It's hitting the rook. It has to be like taken, it seems. Then we have knight d5 with tempo on the queen and the bishop. So we've got 2 pieces. For the queen, this is very, very dangerous for black though. Look at black's pieces. The rooks are not connected. Most of the pieces are on the back row. Knight f5 is played. It is a really, really tricky position because d6 is under fire soon, potentially. We've got the rook and knight on d6. And you might think, well, shouldn't black take off this knight? But what about that monster knight on d5? If black takes the knight here, isn't he just leaving a huge d5 knight? The move played, I mean, it's a very, very tricky position. The move played is rook b8. It's actually, I mean, there's a lot of positional compensation here. The evaluation is, from a computer's point of view, it starts off thinking this is really good for black, but then starts changing its mind to now, at depth 25, being about equal. It's actually lowered the evaluation gradually, and giving bishop takes f5 is maybe one of the better moves. But this position here, if we look at this position, this is Stockfish 8 by the way, it gives white with actually not just a slight advantage, but a very clear advantage with rook d3. Yeah, if you look at white's pieces, they're cemented very firmly on the light squares. They're lighthouses on light squares. They're not going anywhere. I've used that lighthouse metaphor once before on a game. Yeah, when things are not moving from the position. White's pieces here are just beautiful if you look at this. Now, if the way to crack this position, it seems rook g3. And what's going on? This, it's the engine's like confused by this position. It's giving like this. Okay, let's follow this. Now, what's the idea here? Threatening rook g8 check now. Rook c3. Yeah, it looks as though just black's not doing anything. Not able to do anything. b6. And now, yeah, it's getting increasingly tied down. Knight c7 might be. If bishop takes, then there's takes. That's firmly protected, actually. So yeah, it seems as though black will be getting stuffed like a turkey here. After in this scenario, it just seems to be going completely downhill on the move bishop takes f5, which you might consider a way to at least get rid of one of these pesky knights. But we see rook b8 being played. Now, white does cash out a bit his big knight on d5 with knight takes f6. So that d6 pawn is the idea. But which way to take? The rook or the knight? Caruana took with the rook. It seems that taking with the knight is also maybe even more promising. This taking with the knight, I'll give you examples. Say king e7, the problem is actually this diagonal here. In this position, bishop c5, and if it takes, for example, check, and knight c7 is checkmate. I'll give you another example of taking the knight, king f8. Again, this diagonal is going to be dangerous, but here maybe bishop f5 first, with the idea of bishop c5. If takes, this position is terrible for black. As an example, here takes, check, and check, and we're winning the queen soon. So it'll be 2 pieces against the rook. That's pretty bad. We just take off the queen here, and white's much better there. So yeah, knight. It seems knight takes d6. Whatever happens here, we can try this as a third. Essentially, that's top choice of defense, but this doesn't help. This position is better for white. It's easier to play for white. So yeah, it seems knight takes d6 check. The position was so strong that actually knight takes d6 check works. Rook takes d6 is looking very good as well, though. After bishop e6, white is firmly controlling that d file, and actually rook takes e6 might be on the cards soon, because there's an idea if queen takes, then there's knight g7. Just as an example to show you a token move, why this is a threat. If queen takes, there's knight g7 check, and if pawn takes, there's bishop h5 check, bishop c5 check, bishop e7. Just winning the queen, not even just going for the king. It's just winning the queen. Yeah. So that's the threat. Black castles, but yeah, the king is not given a nice time here. h5 seems to imply that this pawn's been fixed, right? So bishop e3. What's happening after that? And there might actually be other threats that this introduces. Let's just check the primary threats in this position. No, pardon me. You'd think this is fixing the pawn, maybe to target this. Well, I thought for a moment, but actually, the primary threat, in reality, is actually, it looks like bishop h4. Because you can imagine if the queen's there, like that's diabolical, right? Let's just check this. Bishop h4. We can't go here. Surely we're just getting mated. Check. And rook g1. It's slaughter time, isn't it? Is actually going to be a forced mate. Yeah, you don't want this position. So yeah, no. Actually, after h5, the primary threat is actually bishop h4 here. So I thought bishop e3's not really a threat at all. Okay, bishop h4 is the main one. We have check, and this does encourage actually bishop e3. That's also, I think I was a little bit biased there from the game continuation from knowing it. But here, yeah, this is great now, because now this pawn drops, king h8, bishop f5, maintaining that pin firmly, the relative pin, queen e7. Now, fascinatingly, white took time to play b5 here. This is a fascinating move. b5, I mean, there's lots of tempting possibilities in this position. Maybe this one, knight takes f7, in this position, using the pin, not using the pin, trying to break into black's king. If here, this looks strong, because if takes, check, breaks into black's king side, check, and this is actually a forced mate position. Wow, you can tell it's winning from there. So that's crushing whatever happens on bishop takes, on queen takes. This is too dangerous, this sort of scenario. So actually, knight takes f7 on rook takes. This is too dangerous for black. Well, he's just material down. So yeah, but b5, I don't know, was played first. This is move 29. Maybe like thinking about this a bit longer. I'm not sure black can really do much here. If queen e8 was played, which if takes, we still have knight f7. I don't think it just closes up the file, it seems. Rook takes, is there anything other than that? Right, anyway, so b5 was played. Black doesn't seem to be in a great position to do anything here. He played queen e8, and now we see knight takes f7 in this position, and it seems to be just crashing through. Rook takes, and we've got access now to h6, which is critical. This is massive now after rook h6 check. We've gone to plus 56, and now a mate in 29. It's a mate in 29. Black resigned here. Let's follow this through a bit. King g7 on mate in 23. Rook g1 check. Rook check. Follow the checks. Or do we follow the checks here? Much stronger than bishop g5 is actually, believe it or not, to take this one. That gives us access to c5. This is a key check. Quality checks. And now it's a mate in 19 from this position. So it's two bishops and a rook and a pawn here, and it's a mate in 19. I'll show you a mate in 2. King e8 is a mate in 2 after check and check. But let me show you the mate in 19. King d8 is a mate in... I won't show you queen d6 because that's just not much. You could just take that. So king d8. Well, we're just winning the queen anyway. I think the point in here is, okay, it's hopeless because of this h pawn. Yeah, we don't need to carry on there. So in the game, yeah, after rook h6 check, that was it. It's a forcing sequence there, which is absolutely winning after rook h6 check. Yeah, it's a forced sequence which is winning there. So just to review that again, the check here, and this forces the king back on the back row once we get access to c5 to win the queen. The queen becomes a very loose piece there. If the queen, I mean, it's already a lot of material. If the queen doesn't take on b8, it's going to get lost to bishop c5. Now, one point of note here, on king f6, I think we have rook g6 checkmate. So the king is really forced onto the back row to lose the queen, and the h-pawn's winning. You might think, is there nothing? The queen's got nothing here, I believe. Yeah, we got to take the rook. So yeah, that would be unfortunate configuration for black. Whatever way it happens now, it's losing the queen or getting mated. Okay, yeah, this was a stunning game actually from that queen sack. So star move idea, queen sack, queen takes f6, positional queen sack. That is a great one. I think. Great fun game. Well done to both players for making such an amazing game. Very exciting. Okay, comments, questions, likes appreciated. Thanks very much.